Here he is, NHL insider from the Frankly Speaking podcast and the Daily Faceoff, Mr. Frank Seravalli.
How you doing, guys?
Frank's just from Rogers Place in
we're
Edmonton.
good.
Yeah, very well. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, what's better than this? The longest day of the year, a Friday night in June in Edmonton. Nothing else to do here. Hey, let's play a hockey game. Maybe the best player on planet Earth and facing elimination again with the Stanley Cup on the line. What's better than this?
You didn't go to Snoop Dogg last night?
Nope. I feel if I did, I might have had a contact high that would have continued through the game. So I figured, I'm good.
So is this the last hockey game of the season? Merely the last hockey game in Canada of the season? What do you think happens tonight?
I have a sneaking suspicion that this is the last game of the season. And the only reason I say that, well, two reasons I'll give you. One, this Panther team actually played really well in Game 5. Think about the reasons they lost. They gave up a shorthanded goal. They gave up a fluke goal to McDavid on the goal line, and Connor McDavid made a once-a-season play. What are the odds that all three of those things happen again? Probably pretty small. Plus the fact that the whole mentality of this thing has shifted. No one's going into this thinking that in this building with this party tonight that the Oilers are losing Game 6, which to me, I don't know, does that dampen their urgency, awareness?
Dangerous. Yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah.
I think it's the classic trap game. I really do.
Yeah, it's kind of been counterintuitive over the last couple of games. I wouldn't be surprised if that continues.
Let me tell you this. There's a reason why only one team has done this in the 106-year history of the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, it's hard. It's freaking hard.
You can't. It's hard to win 4 games in a row, and it's really hard to do it against a team this good in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Let's move on to the Vancouver Canucks here. First of all, you survived your interaction with Michael Bublé. I understand.
He actually reached out to me 2 days ago when the Instagram quote went viral or comment, and he didn't need to. My feelings weren't hurt. I was all good.
Yeah.
I think he was probably had a little bit of lingering discord from the comments about Elias Pettersson and his injury following the end of the season, and that's fine. He's a Canucks super fan. I totally get it, and I appreciate his passion, and he apologized, and he didn't need to, and just two guys talking hockey.
Here's the important thing. Did you get a follower bump because of that interaction?
I don't think so.
No? Oh, disappointing.
I did not a noticeable one, at least.
Yeah, and stand-up guy Frank, you said on Twitter, I'll take the L. It didn't start with an 8. So tell us, how did Hronek and the Canucks get to the table at 7.25 per?
Well, I think there's a lot of factors here. One, I should have probably amended my number following the postseason. For one, his playoff run didn't do him any favors. That's the first thing. 2, I think the Canucks were hyper-focused on trying to make this a 7-year deal, not an 8-year deal. And I think there was a compromise there. If we get to 8, can you take a lower AAV? So that's part of it. And the other part is the Quinn Hughes factor and how tight his relationship is with Filip Hronek. It's not an accident that Filip Hronek had his first full season as a Canuck, played almost exclusively with Quinn Hughes, and Hughes goes on, after playing in the league for a while, a few hundred games, jumps up to a Norris Trophy level. When the season ended, they have their exit interviews. The Canucks not only made Filip Hronek their top priority to figure out, but they also did so at the behest and request of their captain, who's saying, get this deal done. This is the guy that I want to play with. You can talk all you want about Filip Hronek driving his own pair. I want to play with him. I've had the most success with him. This is by far the best partner that I've ever had. He's a right shot guy. He's in the prime of his career. Do it. And there's also probably a part of Filip Hronek that was like, okay, if I grind for the last 250,000 or 500,000, 750, is it really going to change my life at all? Let's get it done. And so I think you take all those factors and you smash them all together, and the Canucks end up with their top right shot defenseman locked up for the next 8 years at what I think is a really fair number.
Yeah, and of course, Hronek would have had to, if he wanted to play this out, had another good year. And then, of course, he's thinking, hey, is the grass really greener somewhere else where I'm not on a pair with Quinn Hughes? So, No, I think
The
it made a
success
lot of
was
sense.
mutual, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
they both had a ton of success, and not only that, would you be willing to shoulder the risk of playing through that year? You can, we've talked all the time about don't bleep with happy, but the idea that you then need to, hey, what happens if I become the next whoever guy that's left a ton of money, Elias Lindholm, that's left a ton of money on the table because I don't play well. That's just the latest example of a guy that's lost 20 plus, maybe $30 million year over year.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do that?
Yeah, no. Let's move on to Jake Guentzel here.
Well, let's just dovetail first off of that and say, what does that signing do to the rest of the Canucks plan? Is there an obvious thing that, okay, with that done now, they're gonna do X, and maybe it's Guentzel, or is it refashioning the D, leaving behind Zadorov, signing Zadorov? Do you see the Hronek shoe dropping means X? Is that a thing?
Yes, it is. The Hronek shoe dropping is the biggest puzzle piece to put in place, because now, since you've got your top right shot guy locked up and you've made your captain happy, you then have some cost certainty on what the rest of the market looks like. There's still one other domino to fall, and that's Ilya Mikheyev and that trade. They're going to have to pull the trigger sooner rather than later, and if it means ultimately having to attach an asset to it, they've done it before. They're going to have to do it again, potentially. The reason why you've seen reports that the Canucks have given Mikheyev's agent to fashion a trade is because they've had no luck to this point, and everyone has said to him, hey, we don't really mind the player at that contract, but we're not just going to let you out of jail for free. We're not going to take him off your hands for free. Give us something to do it, which you watch the Barclay Goodrow waiver claim this week, and it kind of still makes you wonder, like, why did the Sharks do that for free? It doesn't make any sense, but that's an aside. So the first domino was Hronek. The second one needs to be Mikheyev. The third one, provided that they can move Mikheyev, I'm reasonably confident that their plan is sign a Hronek, move Mikheyev, re-sign Zadorov, go after Jake Guentzel. That's what I believe their plan of attack is, and their posture here over the next 11, 12 days. Whether or not they can make all of that happen, is Guentzel going to stay in Carolina? Do the Canes have the best offer potentially at 8 years? There's a lot that can go on, but I believe that's their plan.
You mentioned earlier in the week you thought 7 years and $9.5 million, something like that, for Guentzel from the Vancouver Canucks. A few questions here. Do you think they have to be over and above every other team? There was a local report here, they're favorites to land Guentzel. I'd like you to talk on that. And do you think they are going to trade the draft pick to secure the exclusive negotiation rights?
No, I don't think they're going to trade the draft pick, because I don't think they need to. Are they favorites? I don't know. I mean, I can't predict that, because when you look at the rest of the market, what else happens between now and then? Does someone offer slightly more money with a slightly better chance to win? I don't know. All I know is the Canucks have made him their prime target. They want to spend. They need those other things to happen first. And they believe they have a compelling case with a team that not just took this Stanley Cup finalist Oilers to Game 7 of Round 2, but is not resting. They've shown the most aggressive posture of any management group in the NHL. They're not going to sit back and say, hey, you know what? Our team was pretty good. We're going to be happy with Round 2. They realize how much work they need to do and still accomplish. They realize the changes that need to be made with this team. And they feel like Guentzel would be the best fit potentially to play alongside Elias Pettersson in an environment that he's comfortable in. Played for Rick Tocchet, knows Patrick Allvin, knows Jim Rutherford, knows the training staff. Like, these are all really important things that maybe the best part about Jake Guentzel is that he's a hockey player. He doesn't care about where he's doing it, what jersey he's wearing, how it works, how far away it is from wherever home base is. Not to say it doesn't matter. He just wants the best fit. And of course he wants to be paid appropriately, but that's going to happen no matter where that is.
You don't think the 8th year is a deal breaker then? Because you can't add the 8th year, right? If you trade for okay.
I wouldn't give up an asset to do it, because I don't think it's going to materially change the AAV enough to do so. I believe the Canes offer is somewhere around 8 years, just under $8 million. So if that's the case, just north of 60 it needs to be in that 7 times 9.5 range to beat the 8th year.
Is Tyler Myers going to get squeezed out of all this? I mean, are they going to have to go hat in hand and say, we got 1.8 for you, man? Sorry. Like it sounds like if that plan that you laid out happens, there's not much left there for Tyler Myers.
So I'll give you 2 scenarios. And I mentioned this before. I think Tyler Myers is comfortable waiting because that's how much he wants to be in Vancouver. Not to say that he's going to allow himself to be taken advantage of, but they have to make a fair deal. Is there an ability or way for the Canucks to add term on that deal to get him closer to the overall total dollar number that he might have been looking for? It might be difficult to do. I don't think it's impossible, and I think he's willing to be patient in order to make that happen. And let me throw one other crazy wild card idea at you, because there's going to be one other person that they're going to need to figure out here. Is Arthur Shelov's an offer sheet candidate?
Whoa.
I mean,
that's I know somebody said that to me this week, and I was like, hold on a second. Like, what could you do to make it enticing enough for the Canucks to move on? At that price point, they might. You don't have to stretch very far to make it once all the ducks are in a row, so that the Canucks can't afford it, and then you can get him without really giving up a key pick.
Right.
I think the traditional.
So you're saying proactively, do you have to trade him if you feel there's offer sheet exposure,
or sign him?
So that's what I'd say. I'd say you might want to get on your horse and just get a deal done.
Right. Lastly, Frank, I saw the new trade targets board on the Daily Faceoff. Any of those names connected to the Vancouver Canucks?
I don't think so. I think I think they're pretty set and focused on exactly what. Look, that's how I view the tea leaves of what I'm hearing. That's what I believe their pecking order is. I don't think, aside from moving some salary, that they're really that focused on much else.
Okay, let's assume they fail on Jake Guentzel, though. I mean, do you think they have a plan B in their mind of the next guy up?
I'm sure they do. I just don't know who it is.
Right. Okay. We'll see.
Enjoy the game. Thanks for the time. We'll catch up next week.
See you guys.
Hey, everybody. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here, then follow along with Sekeres and Price on YouTube. I promise more content coming.
The kids call it subscribe on YouTube.
Well, how about liking it?
Do that as well. Smash it right now.